The I, the H, the E, the C, the H, the E, the R, the E is E hair. Geranoma is E hair. Geranoma. And then every letter stands for something. I can't
Yeah,
remember
it's a
but
whole song.
I literally sung that song day and night to know how to spell my married name. So I would say like we've been through some stuff in marriage. We've been through two pretty big things. The first one was quite early on in our marriage, probably what 2-3 years in. You know, as everyone wants to get pregnant, we were fortunate to get pregnant. And then sadly in January 2021, our son was born premature, 5 months premature, and we spent about 40 minutes with him before he sadly passed away. So I actually had to give birth, which that in itself is actually a funny story. I know it's weird to say, how is that a funny story in a time of sadness? But we are grateful to God because the short time we got to spend with him, we could just see all of our attributes, you know, like obviously I was like, oh,
he had your eyebrows.
Yeah, he had my
Definitely
eyebrows,
had your
he had
eyebrows.
Cheze's ears, and
You said he had my head shape as well.
yeah,
isn't it?
he definitely had
Yeah,
my head shape.
yeah.
But it really just helped. You know, I said I leveled up when I married Cheze, and we leveled up again when we became parents.
Yeah.
And you know, it was obviously in the moment. It was in the midst of COVID.
Yeah.
All that stuff is
Navigate all of that as well.
It was crazy, but God was with us.
I think since we've been married, one of, if not the hardest thing for us to overcome together, I believe, was pretty much the whole of last year.
Yeah.
2024 was a good year for a lot of people, and I feel like when everyone would be saying, "Oh yeah, this was a good," I felt like some reason that's when I saw people really speaking
Celebrating.
positively about the year, and it was like when our year really sucked.
Yeah.
And it was a challenge. We were, I don't even know how we got through day by day. We were literally scraping by. And it wasn't just the fact that we were just almost flat out broke. It was also the fact that, you know, homeless for a period of time. So you got broke, homeless, you suffered a great loss.
Yeah.
I was, you know, the job I was doing was just about, I remember I was making enough to get me those £1 Iceland pizzas. And I was basically surviving on them for like a decent period of time.
It was in the midst of COVID.
Yeah.
All that stuff is
Navigate all of that as well.
It was crazy, but God was with us throughout the whole time.
Yeah.
Because it was just a normal day. Like we literally just came back from shopping, and all of a sudden I had some sudden pains, and I was like, something's not right. Went to the hospital, and I remember the look on their face when they kept using the terminology. They were like they're saying your cervix was open, and then when the senior doctor came in, she said, oh, your cervix is dilated, and I was just like, you can't, why are you saying dilated? That's when someone's going to give birth. I shouldn't be giving birth now. So it was a
crazy experience, definitely.
but you know what, I'm grateful to God because like I said, the birth story in itself was funny because Caleb was breech, which means he was born feet first. So he was just like, listen, I'm letting y'all know that I'm here, innit?
I was making enough to get me those £1 Iceland pizzas. And I was basically surviving on them for like a decent period of time. You know, put some salt in it so it's at least got some flavour. And we were just scraping by. It's only by the grace of God.
Yeah, I remember like even just going to like my parents' house like to make sure that like the kids had dinner and everything, and just make sure that everything is like good. But it's like making them not feel like, oh, anything's wrong kind of thing. Because even though like we were moving kind of like from place to place, like you said before, like we both got hit financially, so it was just like where's something gonna come from? And it's like we've just come off like the back of our honeymoon. It's like that's now the time where this is supposed to be like the best time of our lives. Like we're supposed to like enjoy ourselves, we're supposed to enjoy each other, but then it's like life is life and things are just happening to us where we can either kind of just get sad about it, get depressed about it, on which it was really, really hard, or we can kind of just use ourselves and tackle the problem. And I feel like I'm grateful kind of for your character, for my character as well, where we were able to like band together and be like, let's put heads together, let's see what we can do. Like, we didn't kind of just, we're not allowing each other to just die there. Like, we always like kind of speak life into each other, keep pushing on, keep pressing on. And it was like more us against the problem, not like a problem in between
Right.
us kind of thing. So yeah, I think that was the hardest time, especially for me. Like, I was really close with my grandmother. I lost my grandmother then. And it was like back to back things that were just like hitting us. Like, I just remember being in like hotels where like there was like bed bugs, things like that, and like just like looking after the children and stuff like that, and like just, you know, like, because you were the only person that was able to like go out and like get money and stuff like that, and like it was terrible, but like we did it together.
It was a crazy experience,
Yeah.
definitely.
But you know what? I'm grateful to God because, like I said, the birth story in itself was funny because Caleb was breech, which means he was born feet first. So he was just like, listen, I'm letting y'all know that I'm here, innit? So
Legit.
there was fire on the mountain. That's all I'm gonna say. But you know what? All that being said, like we got to spend those 40 minutes. We look back so fondly. Like we'll never take. You know, it's something that we'll treasure forever.
Yeah.
And like I said, it just helped us to level up. So that was something that happened like in 2021.
Yeah, beginning of 2021.
Like there was like bed bugs, things like that, and like just like looking after the children and stuff like that, and like just, you know, like, because you were the only person that was able to like go out and like get money and stuff like that, and like it was terrible, but like we did it together. And you know, like I feel like that not only was an experience we had, but I feel like it made us stronger, because I think when something tests you, you really see what the other person's made of, kind of thing. So yeah, I'm kind of grateful for even the bad things that have happened, like, and to kind of realize that you actually are that dependable person that I know that I married, kind of thing. So yeah, it was hard, but we got through it.
Yeah, I think it's paramount that we took it head on together. That regardless of whether a couple are husband and a wife or boyfriend and girlfriend, these are the critical situations or times that can make or break a relationship, right? Either you will use the stress, the anxiety, the sadness, the anger, whatever it may be, against each other, and sort of just, you know, kind of unleash it on each other. And that then causes you obviously to fall apart and become further away. Or, like you said, we band together, take it on head on. And I think, you know, in that moment, in that situation, is where it becomes apparent that, you know, ultimately, this is a God sent marriage.
Yeah.
A blessed marriage.
No, it was mad as well because we had just had like a really good year. Like, we had like the wedding of dreams, basically. We got married like near enough 3 times. Like,
Basically.
yeah. We had 3 different weddings, like, although it was like a tough time for you. And that's another time that I realized that you can be having 2 different seasons. Like it was literally a really good time for me, but also you were kind of going through your own thing with your own family. And it's like, how do you kind of coincide with like being happy and then not having like your family around at the like biggest time of your life, kind of thing. Like I remember even like the year before this year of disaster, like we spent like your first Christmas as a like you're like now a Christian, your first Christmas like on a yacht, like a super yacht, like it was like crazy things, and then to just come out like to this horrible year, it's like extreme high to extreme low. And I feel like we really handled that well together, kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The hardest time since we've been a couple in the music industry has been like seeing the fight that my partner's got. And I understand, like, I know that he's a talented artist, and me out there as a DJ, a radio host, a presenter, I'm out there, I'm getting bookings, I'm in the clubs, I know what's good music, and the DJs them ain't playing it. So the hardest thing for me during our couple is like being out there and just knowing that I should be hearing my artists in the parties, in the clubs, on the stations. Shouldn't take a girl like me to stand up and like have to be playing these songs. Yeah. So for me, the hardest thing is like, yeah, being in the clubs and knowing say the girl them want bubble to good tune in my bad song. Knowing say people want to sing good song in my bad song, but I'm hearing all of these other people and constant, the same old. So the hardest thing for me is being out there and just seeing that he's not getting the chance that he's supposed to get.
I think for us, something that we had to overcome, being that it was quite hard, I think it was actually quite early on because it was your grandfather. He
Yeah.
was amazing. So I had the opportunity to meet your granddad maybe 4 months into us dating. And again, because it was 2021, so it was that socially distanced date that we did when I met your family. And your grandfather is the rock, well, was the rock of the family. And the fact that, he helped raise you, and just to watch him, he had stomach cancer and he was painfully thin, but still had like the best sense of humor, still had really great words of wisdom, still had a strong Bayesian accent, even though he'd left there a million years ago. And just kind of like getting to know him and him speaking about you and learning about him, but then watching him pass away. And I think, as sad as that can be, it was also a privilege, because these are the things where, if you're in that situation, having time to say goodbye, I think that was quite hard, because I was watching you, somebody who I was dating early on, your heart was broken. That's what it was. Your heart was broken, and I feel so sad, like having to just like watch you kind of like go through that and not really always knowing what to say or what to do or even support your family. But we were all there together. It was so nice.
Yeah.
So even when he did pass away, I really had that time. I had a few months to like get to know him, and he's such a kind man. And because he raised you, I can see what he instilled in you. He's a great person. He raised a great person. But it was hard because it was early on, and it was a big deal.
Yeah.
I feel sad because like you'd be so upset.
Yeah, I would say that would be it for me. It was because for me, my grandfather was my last connection I had to my life prior to coming back home to England.
Mhm.
At the time, my mother passed as soon as we got here. Within a few weeks of me moving back, she passed. And my grandmother passed just before COVID-19, before the whole lockdown, just maybe a few months prior to it coming back. So my grandfather it was hard because he just got diagnosed with cancer
Mhm.
about maybe the year, 3 years prior, but he beat the odds of how long he was supposed to be. And so by this time, he was now by himself with carers, but couldn't see family like we used to.
Yeah.
My aunt lived around the corner, but to check on him, but it was still socially distanced. And I went from seeing him every Sunday or an every day off, I go visit, to having to call and not see him as much. So during the time when he was passing, it was kind of hard because, as she said, he was my last connection to my life growing up in Florida before coming back. And he did raise me. My work ethic came from my grandfather, so
Yeah.
it was like the last person I had that I kind of spent every day growing up with in my household. So that was hard.
And we were with him right up until
Up
the
until
very
the
end.
last end, yeah.
Yeah.
So she's been with me for a lot. And other passing of family members I've had, she's been with me with that. So she's kept me down pretty solid ever since.
It's all good.
It was a really big thing early on.
Yeah, the artist thing, it wasn't just internal, it would have been external. We have to take in account our ex-partner's views, character, personality. And to be honest with you, we were at the time of transitioning, we were moving home.
Yes.
The children was in between schools. There was a lot happening personally, so it made it a little bit more difficult. But what really made it hard was we had 3 young boys.
Yeah.
I think they were like maybe 3 years apart. They had bags of energy. They broke several beds, jumping around,
We
playing.
can laugh now, innit? But it wasn't funny at the time.
When we took them out, they were running around. They were
a handful.
a handful, and this was a new place for us. You know, we've just about been parents long enough, much less to be blended family.
Yeah.
There's lots we didn't know, lots we didn't expected. Then my son, he wanted to be with dad. He didn't want to go back home. So one of the biggest challenge we had is that whenever I drop him back to his mom, then he would cry. I couldn't get him out the car.
Yeah.
I'd drop him off and then I couldn't leave home. He'd cry for a while. That was a very difficult time.
Yeah.
It was a very difficult time as a father. You don't want to see a child cry. And I think I felt helpless. There was nothing I could have done about it. On top of that, I think the other side of it was as they grow. As they grew into young men, as they grew into teenagers, as they grew in their characters and their personalities, and then I had to be firm and strong. I had to push them back. Like in terms of boundaries, things that they should do, shouldn't do.
Yeah.
As they grow into young men and making sure they're not opposing mom because now they're taller than her. And making sure that they remain respectful, getting them to be tidy, clean the house.
Their chores.
There was a lot of challenges. I think externally the challenge was with our ex-partners and their influence or lack of influence.
Affected the boys.
And affected us.
Yeah, most definitely.
And internally was 3 boys full of energy, going through rebellion, disobedience, going through secondary.
And their changes as well, I would say as well, because the big shift I think I would say was him from being Uncle Fesmond to now being stepdad.
One of the most difficult parts of our lives, I think, is the blending of our families. We've both been married before. We've both got children with other people. And it can be difficult to blend the families. So me and my first husband divorced. So I was a single mum for that time, had 2 children. So it took a while for Mark to integrate. And I remember, and it still happens now sometimes, but he would speak to my children via me. Oh, could you ask the children if they want to do this? Could you ask them if they want to do that? Can you tell the children the dinner's ready? And I'm like, why can't you speak directly to the children? Why are you always doing it through me? And the children, surprisingly enough, would do it back to him. Could you ask Mark if he could do this? Could you ask Mark if he could do that? So we actually met with another friend and they kind of talked to us a little bit, didn't they, about how they'd managed to make the family more together. And we still struggle with that sometimes, but not so much as we used to.
The big shift I think I would say was him from being Uncle Fesmond to now being stepdad. That was a really, really big shift. And I remember that. And I remember them like having to adjust to them calling him, they called him Super Daddy, by the way. So the reason being behind that was that when they were younger, he would always like lift them up and go like this. So that was their memories, like Superman. So they called him Super Daddy. Even to this day, they call him Super Daddy. But I think for me, I would say that was probably one of the biggest adjustments was them transitioning between, he's not Uncle Fesmond anymore, it's like stepdad.
But I think the thing is that they'd stopped calling me Uncle Fesmond like before we got together.
Yeah.
Calling me Super Daddy from
Full,
then. So that kind of helped, but I think practically, that's where the challenge was.
That's where the challenge was. And like you said, spouses as well, past partners
Mhm.
as well. I would say
Yeah.
that was
I think one of the things I learned is that they weren't so much challenging me. They were just boys going through their development.
yeah,
Their hormones were growing,
Yeah.
testosterone were growing. They were becoming more self-aware.
yeah, 100%.
So they were growing in various ways. And for me, what it did, it highlighted the importance of a father being at home.
100%. Yeah.
It highlighted the importance, not just a father, but a husband, someone that is represented as an anchor, secure person, not just dad who can come and go. But the fact that we were husband and wife while they were growing up, I think it solidified something for them, because our boys are growing up, they don't have any partners, and
Yeah.
their desire is to marry.
Yeah.
So I think it really set some foundations for them. But I think that the challenges was teenagehood. There was the various degree of challenges. When they were younger, it was their energy, and as they got older, it was them growing into young men.
Yeah.
And then we had a very big challenge with my son. He's autistic, and his communication,
Yeah.
receiving and giving is really poor.
Yeah, how he
He interpretates it.
was different to so
And
that was a challenge.
we had to learn how to communicate with
We
him.
didn't really know much about autism either, so we had really had to learn how to manage that as well, because otherwise there was a lot of misunderstanding.
There was always a lot of understanding.
So yeah, that was.
And then he would shut down when he gets overwhelmed.
overwhelming for him.
Then he
because
doesn't
didn't know
want to
how to
talk.
express himself. So yeah, that was definitely.
It's been,
It's been
we could go on for days.
What do you think?
I think for me, the hardest thing we've had to deal with is just growing up together, because we met each other so young and we got together at a young age. So everything that we had to learn about what a committed relationship looks like,
Yeah.
and raising families and raising children in that, it was difficult, because we had to learn it was never just you and me dating.
Yeah. So like we've always been parents. So when we met, obviously she was a mum already, and I was entering that, and I had to step up and be a stepdad. So we've always been parents. We've never had that experience of just dating without children, or you know what I mean. So that was difficult. I think that's just been an ongoing challenge, and we've had to navigate that.
Yeah.
We've had to try and navigate that. So there hasn't been like an explosive, difficult moment.
Yeah.
There's been various challenging
Absolutely.
hurdles.
Yeah. Just learning how to trust.
Yeah.
Learning how to be vulnerable. Learning how to communicate. And, learning how to just be honest and respect each other and cherish each other. Those have been challenges, because you don't come equipped with those things. You have to learn them off the back of each other. Yeah.
In terms of the most difficult things, I would say yes, it is the relationship in terms of the children and blending each other as well. So for me, it's I always made it very clear right from the beginning. When I met Myra, she already had her children, and I moved into their house, so we were living together in that household. So for me, it was I made it very clear, I'm not their dad. I know they have their own father, and I'm not going to try and take that place from him and from them as well. And I think just having that very clear point, that very clear defining line, made it much easier for me to integrate. Okay, as young children, they will do things, so you just have to, obviously you want to, as a parent or as a responsible adult, you want to make sure that they're towing the right path, and that they're not going to do anything that's going to endanger them. But I always made sure that yes, I did kind of leave Myra to deal with that when it came to the children, just so that I wasn't crossing the lines.
And I think currently what's a bit of an issue is he's got 3 children from his previous relationship, and I don't really have any contact with them at all. Occasionally, they have visited the household in the past, but I feel a little bit like, he's hands-on every day with my children, and I don't have any input whatsoever with his children. And I think it would be really nice if at some point
we could be like the Black Waltons and we could all be together with my children and his children and our child, and it could all kind of, what did they call it? The Brady Bunch, the Black Brady Bunch, where the two families come together and just get on. Because I don't feel like my children will sometimes call him dad. When we're out, they will refer to him as dad. He will refer to them as, oh, that's my son. And so they have that relationship where I don't even know what his children would refer to me as. They'd probably just say dad's wife. I don't even know if they would call me by name. It's weird, but there is part of me that's like, I don't know how I feel about that.
And it's interesting you say that, because one of the things that I've kind of fought with that, because I really did want to have them included, but I didn't have the contact that I really would have liked to have had with them after the separation from my previous marriage. So therefore it was difficult to bring them in and have that kind of, that relationship, which would be a lot easier now as they've got older, because it would be more natural. So now I'm trying to do it as they're older, because they can now make their own decisions, and it's a bit standoffish, which is understandable because they don't know them as well. Even though I try to include them, it's a bit, it's not that easy. So yeah, so that is a very difficult. Well, wouldn't say very, but it's one of the difficult parts of our relationship.
I think it's one of those things where I try and block it out.
Yeah.
Because it was so difficult and tough.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, really thinking about it, I mean, yeah, we've had like job losses. Where obviously finances are in order, everything's in order, and then one person loses their job.
Yeah.
And now it's just one income, and you have to sustain the family.
You have to try and sustain a family.
That was very difficult, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, so like my wife was at the time I lost my job. My wife was like taking care of everything, and I was doing like side missions, just here and there, trying to make whatever I can, financially. And yeah, I think that just takes a toll on you. Like, it takes a toll on you. After because actually we had our second child, Eva, in 2014. Amidst all of that was like, I don't know why, but when you have a baby, like why, like everyone gains weight, like so I gained weight. That was hard. You know what I mean?
Body's changing.
That was difficult. Like in and amidst like the job loss and everything all together, it's like that was a really difficult time. That we had to get out of. Like
and we had an instance where we were living in a home that wasn't really nice.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I mean, you block those things out, but we lived in like a flat, and it wasn't just our flat, but the whole row of flats that we lived in were infested with mice.
Yeah.
That was really, really difficult. We had to, we experienced homelessness. So
it was so bad. So it was so bad that like in the middle of the night, a mouse was on my back.
Yeah.
And then we woke up and moved.
Like we moved the next day.
That same day. That was the last straw.
Yeah.
Like there was a mouse running on my back.
Because it had got into the bed.
And then we woke up, packed all our bags, and we left. So
we had to, we experienced homelessness. We had to find somewhere to live within a month, which wasn't easy. We had to stay with his parents. So as you can imagine, 2 kids, a baby, a 5-year-old, and us all packed in to his parents' house, which, they had enough room for us, thankfully. But we've had to experience those things. We've had to experience bereavement. My husband has lost his grandparents since we've been together.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you remember this, but I remember a time when you lost your grandmother, your mum's mum, and you just lay on the sofa all day. You didn't move.
I don't remember.
Don't you remember that?
No.
Yeah, you just lay on the sofa. You didn't move. You just lay there. And I took the girls out and I took them like down to the dockside and that, and came back and you just was laying there and I just, yeah. And that was like difficult to see. You snapped out of it really quick, like the next day, but that day you just went into yourself.
Right.
And so, knowing how to support you in that wasn't easy. And then I lost my dad like 4 months before our wedding.
Yeah.
Which wasn't easy as well. And I was estranged from my dad, so I didn't really have a good relationship with my dad.
But I was going to sort of invite him to the wedding to, you know, make amends, but then he passed away very suddenly. So yeah, we've had to battle those things.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, for sure.
and yeah.
One of the hardest things in a relationship for me, per se, to overcome was the cultural differences when we first started dating. As I said, he's Nigerian, I'm Jamaican. And it was, I was taken aback when we first started dating that I wasn't accepted because I was Jamaican. And on top of that, I had a child that was not yours. So that was very hard to overcome because I was just like, man, we black. And that's the truth. Like, there were times where I did feel like leaving and walking away because it just got too much. Especially that I'm Jamaican, but I did take on like you being Nigerian quite well, like trying to understand your tradition, and I wasn't disrespectful of it.
Yep.
And going through all that, trying to learn, but still feeling, I guess, they're my in-laws, so I gotta be, you know, political. Not accepted, not welcomed, and some days were spent crying and things like that. Like, I've never in my life, I'm quite confident, but thinking I wasn't enough, um, because I wasn't, you know, Nigerian, I wasn't Muslim, I wasn't. So it was like cultural and religiously as well.
Yeah.
That for me was a lot, to the point where I was just like, I don't know if all this was worth it.
Yeah.
To be, yeah. So that for me was quite hard to overcome. But the one thing that I would say is, if Femi wasn't, if you weren't like behind me, like every step of the way, you did fight the battle. Whether I was there or not, you really stood your ground. Like, this is the person that I want to be with, and it's either you guys are going to accept it or else I will walk away. And took a few years. But they realized that you were very serious about me.
Yeah.
And I think they slowly, over time, a lot of time, decided, you know what, she's not going nowhere, and Femi's not backing down. And I think that what set that precedent is like, wow, you must really feel a certain way about her to know that there's that point where you could lose your family, if you chose me, I guess, in a sense. And your sister said it in our wedding, like in her speech at our wedding, you always choose me. And I think everyone soon came to know that it was me or nothing at that point.
Yeah.
I think for me, a real tough time that I had to overcome, certainly we had to overcome, was when I started my first business, and my two business partners had cheated on the business and things weren't going so well, and finding myself in over 100 grand in debt. I think the tough thing was the fact that on our honeymoon, I'd said to you that, look, I'm quitting my corporate job. I know that corporate job, I'm with a company car and good salary to start this business. And a few years gone down the line where things weren't working, and it took its toll on me, and I'm working, you know, long hours, 18 hours a day, 19 hours a day, 20 days, not sleeping much, and burning out. And I think the tough thing was not being there for you and for Tiana, our youngest daughter, and not seeing her growing up for the first few years, and trying to overcome the debt situation and pay that off. That was tough for me, I think. And what about you?
Yeah, I mean, that was a real sort of challenging time for us. And, you know, so many different emotions went through my mind at the time, and I'm sure they did with you, because both of us come from parents that have been divorced. And, you know, for me, that was kind of the cycle.
Right.
And I was thinking, oh, is this the time? Is this the time now? And so I was unsure as to where our relationship was going to go, because I needed that support, you know, as a young mum, and, you know, you having, you know, those challenges as well. And I was always the cautious one at that time in terms of money, not wanting to take risks
whereas you were much more of
more of a risk
a
taker.
big risk taker.
Yeah, I think those certainly it would have been challenging for anyone, but in the 25 years later, I suppose things have worked out.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Your sister said it in our wedding, like in her speech at our wedding. You always choose me, and I think everyone soon came to know that it was me or nothing at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah, that was the challenging, one of the most challenging parts for our relationship. And I think the reason why it was challenging for me was because it was more of an outside factor that I didn't necessarily have a control over, and as a result, it affected you. And as it affected you, it affected me. And obviously, I knew I wanted to be with you, so that was that was a
Yeah.
given. So yeah, it was just trying to manage the cultural expectations, my family's expectations, and just really understand what the issue was, and just kind of speak to people and say to them, okay, if there is an issue, kind of explain to me what that issue is, and then at least we can try and address it. But there was no real issue. It was just literally cultural difference and the fact that you had a child, and for me that just wasn't a good enough reason for me to call it a day with you. So yeah, I think that was the most challenging part of our relationship, I'd say.
I agree.